Welcome to episode 83 of Central Intelligence Cinema. Today we're buying new prepaid phones and making the rounds at all our favorite internet cafes as we review 2007's The Bourne Ultimatum. But without further ado, take it away, Pierce.
Beg your pardon, forgot to knock.
Welcome to the CIC, initiating security clearance.
My name is Napoleon Solo. Bond. James Bond.
Natasha Romanoff.
Ethan Hunt.
Felix Leiter.
Elsa Faust. Identity confirmed.
Now, pay attention, 007.
Welcome to Central Intelligence Cinema, a podcast dedicated to spy movies and secret agent pop culture.
Your mission, should you decide to accept it.
You expect me to talk?
I'm in the middle of an interrogation. This moron is giving me everything.
Yeah, baby!
Special agent, you're not having a very special day, are you?
But remember, nothing ever goes according to plan.
Tom, what do you think you're doing?
Keeping the British hand up, sir. The state will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Recording from an undisclosed location at a building located at 415 East 71st Street, it's a Central Intelligence Cinema podcast. I'm Jason Greenberg, and with me, as always, Ben Esslinger.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jason. And welcome back to the CIC, the spy movie podcast that is covertly clearing immigration under the identity Gilberto de Piento.
Outstanding.
Which can only mean one thing, Jason.
What's that, Ben?
We're back covering Bourne.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Or,
Yes.
well, you know, woohoo!
Yeah, woohoo! You know, honestly, our timing stinks because if we would have done this yesterday, we could have been born on the 4th of July.
You know what I hate most about that joke, Ben? Because I thought the exact same thing yesterday. So I hate the joke. I hate you for saying it. I hate me for thinking it.
Welcome back. We are here to dissect the third, or is it the second? Honestly, they kind of seem the same.
2.5.
Bourne 2.5. We are here to dissect and discuss The Bourne Ultimatum. It's kind of a sequel and not the same movie done a second time.
Yeah, you know, if you'd have told me before I watched this movie again that this was a direct sequel to the second one, I would not have recalled it that way.
Indeed.
But it literally takes off right where the last one left off. So
yeah, and yet seems to repeat exactly what Supremacy did in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have a lot of ground to cover, Jason. Should we just get into this sucker?
We should jump right into it right now.
We have a situation.
Bourne showed up on our surveillance in southern Europe.
Tour in Italy.
London.
Tangier. What's he after?
He's retracing his steps, looking for something. We need to know what it is.
Someone made me what I am. And I'm gonna find him.
Pamela Landy.
I hear you're still looking for me.
Tracing this.
Coming online.
Trace is confirmed invalid. On the street. Jason Bourne is within 1,000 yards of this building.
He's communicating.
Then we should communicate back.
I'm going out there.
Get the vehicles, we're going mobile. Follow Landy. She leads us to Jason Bourne. We need to find him and we need to take him out.
3 teams Alpha, Bravo. Let's look sharp.
Where is he, people? Noah Vosen.
This is Jason Bourne.
I was wondering when you were going to make this call. Perhaps we can arrange a meet.
Where are you now?
I'm sitting in my office.
I doubt that.
Why would you doubt that?
If you were in your office right now, we'd be having this conversation face to face.
Okay, The Bourne Ultimatum, the third installment of the Bourne series, released in 2007, directed by Paul Greengrass, who also did The Bourne Supremacy, as well as the documentary series World in Action, Bloody Sunday, and United 93. Greengrass went on to direct 2016's Jason Bourne, and Dan Bradley was second unit director once again on this. He also did Three Kings, Swordfish, Spider-Man 2, Quantum of Solace, and Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. So once again, capable hands in the second unit director space, which I would agree with in this movie. He does a great job.
Sure.
I feel like the action sequences are good, although it seems like there's less of them.
Yeah, they saved the big stuff towards the end, really.
Yeah, just a little here and a little there, not quite as heavy. Bourne Supremacy, they just were like, we need to amp up this action all the way. And then in this one, they kind of cooled it down and tried to be a little bit more cerebral about how they approached this movie. The action sequences aren't really action sequences, but more almost like chase and evade type sequences.
Yeah, there's only, 2 really good fight scenes in this movie.
Yeah, and then you've got one big car scene.
Right, and you got the motorcycle scene. Well, motorcycle
yeah, you got the
scooter scene. Yeah. But I mean, there's really more chases. The fights are very brief. I think really the only fight scene is in Madrid, in the dude's office before he meets Nikki again, where he basically fools him.
Is that with the book?
Well, no, that's when he kills the guy who blew up the station chief guy. That's where he kills him with the book. And I guess that's also the other fight scene that I was talking about. But really, the only real fight scene is the 2 CIA operatives that go into the office that he fools with the ceiling fan. Which, by the way, you couldn't fool with my ceiling fan because it's too noisy. But he apparently found the most quiet ceiling fan ever.
Indeed. But as far as writing goes, Tony Gilroy is back, but he was kind of displeased with how the Bourne Supremacy turned out, and he felt like the final film didn't reflect the way he intended Bourne's repentance and atonement to be. So he wrote the script for Ultimatum, but he just kind of walked away afterwards and didn't really come back to like help kind of shape it. And then ultimately Matt Damon was really displeased with it. And you can actually, if you don't look too hard on the internet, you can actually find some pretty scathing quotes from Damon regarding this movie's script from Gilroy, which then had a lot of revisions happen. There was a moment where Tom Stoppard was brought in, and he was even then quoted as saying, "I don't think there's a single word of mine in the film." So this was another one of those Bourne movies that went through a lot of changes to the script before they were finally happy. Matt Damon is clearly very opinionated. This is a very opinionated bunch. The Bourne camp is a very we're dealing with a lot of smart people with strong opinions. Sure. And so these things happen.
And not for nothing, Damon may have won an Academy Award for writing a screenplay. Not going to say nothing about it, but he might have. He might have. He might have some input on how a really good screenplay works.
He might have valid points.
He might. But could you say then, Ben, that this particular script for this particular Bourne movie was Born Again?
Why, yes, it would be. It would very much be Born Again.
Okay, very good. Let's go to the Bourne meter. We've got 2 so far.
That's right. But then after Tom Stoppard came in, we then get Scott Z. Burns and George Nolfi to finish it up, and they ultimately became frequent collaborators with Matt Damon, going forward with a lot of other future action movies and what have you. So,
do you think Z is his real middle initial, or did he just throw that in there for some guild purpose?
I don't know if it's a guild purpose or just to sound cool.
Well, it doesn't sound cool, so it's got to be a guild purpose.
So what's his middle name? Zoran.
There you go. Like, if there's anyone who's qualified to do a spy movie, it's me. Woo!
Also, to add a little more spice to the little argument between Gilroy and Matt Damon, allegedly Gilroy didn't even watch this film until he was approached around 2010 to helm the Bourne Legacy. So, yikes. Anyway, we have a script eventually, and it becomes this. So, which feels kind of, as we sort of hinted at, this feels very much like a retreading of the Bourne Supremacy, but perhaps executed better?
Better, but definitely, the last half of the movie, some of it was actually in the previous movie. So,
seriously, the car chase, even the car, right down to the car chase, like what happens in the car chase is so wildly similar to the car chase in Russia. Right. It's like, why are we reproducing this?
The scene with Pam Landy was literally in the last movie.
Well, yes, but that's because they're trying to say this is the exact same moment.
No, I get that, but I'm just saying it wasn't even heavily influenced by the last movie. It literally has parts of the last movie in it.
Right.
Somebody's like, how do we keep Landy involved? Hey, what about that other script we had? Ooh.
And we do that part that got real famous in the last time where she turns around like a dramatic woodchuck or chipmunk or whatever that little woodland creature was. As far as photography goes,
get some rest.
I'm tired because we did this scene already.
Jesus H.
As far as photography goes, Oliver Wood is back for a third time as DOP. As a reminder, Wood previously had worked on stuff like Face Off, 2 Days in the Valley, and Mr. Holland's Opus. It does feel like they pulled back on the shaky cam quite a bit. At least for me, it feels like they were a little bit more reserved about that, which is why I feel like this movie is executed better. Why I say that it's executed better. It feels like they started to employ zooms instead. A lot of zooms to be like, this is the location they're at. This is the thing he's doing. Zoom. So it feels like they employed that a lot more than the shaky thing, because maybe there was some backlash to it in Supremacy just because they pushed that so hard in the last movie.
They did. And I have to say, I was unhappy with the shaky cam in those intimate moments, and I realized they were using it to build up the tension. All it was building up in me was frustration. Like, I'm trying to watch this person act, and I feel like I'm on caffeine, and I can't focus because Matt Damon's head is dancing while he's emoting.
I do feel like in this one, they employ it a little bit smarter, where if they're trying to convey hecticness and craziness, they use the shaky cam.
Yeah.
Whereas in the last one, they just used it everywhere. They just didn't care. They just wanted everything. They just wanted everything to feel like a documentary. Whereas in this one, it's like they use the shakiness in this movie just to really, this is a crazy moment. So editing wise, we've got Christopher Rouse back after doing Bourne Supremacy. He also did The Italian Job and Paycheck, just to name a few. And he also did the remaining Bourne movies. About the same editing job, just made easier by less shaky cam.
Sure. And he already had a script from the last movie, so he could just insert scene here, insert scene here. We're good to go.
That's right. They already knew what they were doing, clearly. By the numbers, this budget for this one was $110 million. The budgets keep sort of slowly ratcheting up as we go along here. But this one was $110 million, but the movie made $444.1 million globally.
So it did all right.
And 227.4. Yeah, it did okay. It also broke the August opening weekend records at 69.2 million and held that for 7 years until Guardians of the Galaxy came along. So not too shabby. This movie did very, very well.
And definitely got beaten by a superior movie.
It is considered the most successful film in the Bourne series. It is funny, too, that both of us were really looking forward to this movie.
Yeah.
And after watching the movie, we're like, why were we so excited about watching this movie?
Yeah.
Because in retrospect, it's like, now it's sort of like, well, it's pretty good, but also very much a rehash of the last one, just done differently.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Not great.
I mean, I liked it. It's just...
I didn't hate it. I definitely liked it better than the last one.
Yes.
Right? But I don't think I liked it as much as the first one, which I thought I did before I watched it again. And it's just, sometimes you shouldn't watch movies you like with a critical eye, I think is part of the problem.
That's probably true as well.
Which is why if we ever do a science fiction or superhero podcast, I'm in for a lot of hurt.
I will say, I think there's something, it's kind of like, if you think about like albums, like music albums, I feel like the Bourne identity feels raw, like a first album is raw, like it's not polished, but there's an energy to it because it is raw, because it is the first time. It is the first time you've seen something, and I feel the same way about the Bourne identity and how it really does have the same sort of evolution. Where the Bourne Supremacy, you get the sophomore disease, where it's not quite as good, and the idea isn't quite figured out yet, and maybe, trying some new production things that didn't quite work right. And then they get to this one and they smooth out the production, but it's still not as original as the very first album, Right.
It comes out as a super polished version of the first album. So it's good musically, but it lacks kind of the same level of soul.
Yes, absolutely. Music-wise, John Powell did the music again. Honestly, it just feels like the exact same soundtrack. It's just another thing. It's just another thing that kind of drives home the fact that we feel like we're watching the same movie. A little bit.
Well, it doesn't help you get the same song at the end, so...
Right, the Moby's back once more. So, yeah. Now, I will say this movie did actually... This is the only film in the trilogy, if you're going to call it a trilogy. Granted, there's 5 now in total, but it was considered a trilogy at the time. This is the only film in the trilogy that was nominated for an Academy Award, winning all 3 of its nominations for Best Film Editing, Best Sound, and Best Sound Editing at the 80th Academy Awards, which I would say are valid awards for this film. I think that's where the movie does shine. I think the editing is fantastic. The fact that Rouse has done this twice now, he's sort of honed his craft in Bourne, so he's kind of got it down to a science now, and it helps, like we were talking about, the filming is probably a little bit better than last time.
Yeah.
And the sound design is really good on it. It's really nice. So,
it absolutely is. There wasn't a whole lot of extra.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a lot of extra, particularly in car chases, you get a lot of extra.
Right. And this doesn't feel so crunchy that it's like giving you a headache or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's get into the main characters, the who's...
The who's who and the what's what. Ooh.
The who's and the what's what, yes. So we've got, once again, Matt Damon back as Jason Bourne. At this point, he's 35 when he filmed it, and he looks 35. What's most interesting, though, is when they try to do the flashbacks to the start of the program, and he clearly still looks 35. He no longer is that super skinny kid that he was in the Bourne Identity.
Right.
Which is unfortunate. Like, if they would have had the forethought to be like, we're going to do this. We're going to make a movie
some B-roll.
Let's pick up some B-roll, and pretend it's the beginning of the program right now while we got this kid young,
This could be a franchise.
That's right.
It's all right. They were using a lot of really weird focus techniques. It's almost like they slathered the lens full of Vaseline to get that sort of
it was like a wedding video.
Going on. Yeah, it was terrible. I kept waiting for Jack Handy to come out and give us some deep thoughts.
And we've, of course, got Julia Stiles back, now in truly a lead type role as Nikki Parsons once more.
Significantly more badass than she was in the last 2, by the way.
Yes, I'm glad that they gave her more agency in this one. It's truly her most interesting version of the character here.
Absolutely.
So that helps. We've got Joan Allen back as Pam Landy, being Pam Landy. One of the things I do like about her performance in this, and this also does go perhaps to the script as well, is they give her some moments where she's not even talking, but she's just acting with body language and facial expressions.
Yep.
Like some moments where she's listening in. There's moments where she's just watching what other people are doing and sort of reacting to it. And I love that. I did love those little moments. We've also got CIA Section Chief Noah Vosen, played so excellently. I do like David Strathern, who is now responsible for the ultimate Jason Bourne meme, which is...
Jesus Christ. That's Jason Bourne.
I do love that meme.
If we could only get it to say, Jesus Christ, that's Jason Greenberg, then we'd have some.
Indeed. But I do like how over the top he plays it, like just how, like he's kind of a great villainy type of person in this. Like,
I kind of feel like he's an extension of Chris Cooper's character from the first one.
Absolutely.
Maybe more dignified, more refined, less of an asshole in terms of just being
a little slicker.
Yeah, a more polished version of Chris Cooper's cowboy mentality.
Yeah. We've then got Simon Ross, the reporter for The Guardian, played by Paddy Considine, who I love as an actor anyway.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome.
He does such a good job as sort of this very nosy and in way over his head reporter who doesn't realize the gravity of the situation he's in. I think he plays that very, very well. Kudos to him. And then we've got Albert Finney in here playing the Doctor, Dr. Albert Hirsch. I wonder if they named him Albert so that it was easier for him to just since his character name is Albert and his name is Albert.
Maybe they wrote the character for him. I think it's funny we went from Brian Cox to Albert Finney.
Yes.
I mean, who is a much older British actor that we could have gone the next one to play from Albert Finney? It just felt like, let's get all the stocky British actors and just make them older with each sequential movie.
It really does. Then we've got Scott Glenn in this too, who I think does a great performance as well.
For the 10 seconds he's in it, yeah.
For the 10 seconds he's in it, he does very well as the CIA director, Ezra Kramer. And then we've got an interesting little cameo in here from Daniel Bruhl playing Marie's brother.
Is it a cameo?
Well, it's not I shouldn't say it's a cameo. It's just such a brief role.
Yeah, because he was nobody at that point.
I guess, at that point, he is a nobody. It's just one of those things when you see somebody like Daniel Bruhl now show up in an older movie, you're like, you become the Leonardo DiCaprio meme pointing at the screen.
Yeah, you could tell it was very early in his career because he still had kind of a pimply complexion and the unibrow thing going on. I'm like, this is not a kindler, gentler David Bruhl or Daniel Bruhl. This is Daniel Bruhl in the Raw.
That's right.
Who clearly got cast only because he was German.
Yeah. So then we've got a couple of assassins. Clearly from the Treadstone Project. We've got Paz, the assassin at the beginning and the end, played by Edgar Ramirez. And then we've got the assassin that shows up in the middle, named Desh, who I really liked. I thought Desh was very cool, played by Joey Ansah. And both of them are they don't have quite the, how shall I say, chutzpah that, having somebody like the professor in it.
Right. Or even Carl Urban's character wasn't part of Treadstone, but at least he had some personality.
Yeah, I feel like the assassins in this are lacking a little in that department where, the first two go-arounds.
I think they're supposed to be, because they're part of Blackbriar, right? So if Treadstone kind of took all the oomph out of the first round, these guys got no oomph at all, right?
Yeah.
They're just programmed robots.
That's fair. So yeah, and that's pretty much all the majors. Should we get into this sucker?
Yes, we should.
So, we actually have a pre-title sequence, Jason, for once. They decided to go with it's very short, but it is a pre-title sequence nonetheless. We are literally picking right back up after Bourne visits Irina Neski after sort of letting her know about her parents and that her mom wasn't killing people, or her dad. I forget. I already forget who killed who anymore.
Doesn't matter. Probably not.
Probably not. All we need to know is that the Russian authorities are still looking for Bourne. So we get this brief little train station chase that almost doesn't seem necessary, but it's in there. He hops on one train, he goes through the car, and then he jumps off and then rolls. And the next thing you know, he finds himself at some sort of medical center of sorts.
Almost felt like I guess first of all, it had a green...
It felt very convenient.
Yeah. It had the green cross on it, which I know didn't mean the same thing in 2007 that it does now, but I always thought it was a veterinarian office.
I'm like, he's at a dispensary? It's like, oh, okay. Well, let's find out what's going on. So we go inside, and it's not a dispensary. It's an actual medical center, and he's fixing himself up. And so he's looking in the mirror some more, and we get some more flashbacks, and we are kind of introduced to the idea that we're gonna be finding some stuff out through flashbacks once more in this movie. And he starts to remember more about the beginning of the program. He's walking down the hallway, as you said before, the Vaseline on the lens type vibe going on. But then two police officers come in. They find him with blood on the door handle or whatever, and Bourne knocks out the first guy and then takes the guy's gun and then is holding up the other guy. He takes the guy's radio and stomps on it, and he's like, my argument is not with you. And then he leaves, and then cue the titles. And that's pretty much our pre-title sequence. So it's basically just enough to let you know, hey, this is literally happening right after the last movie. That's all it's really there to tell us. And then we get more title graphics that are pretty much the same as the last two, which again falls in check with our theory that this is just a redo of the last movie.
Hey, I mean, Considering they only made it for $110,000, I wouldn't be surprised if some of that car footage was already shot.
110,000? Not 110 million?
Did I say 1,000?
Yeah.
Felt like 1,000.
Wow, it's an indie movie.
It is.
So then we're back into the movie, and it's 6 weeks later. We get the little title at the bottom, and we're at the CIA at Langley, and we see Pam and the CIA director Kramer and others, and they're listening to the tape that Bourne made in the previous movie when he's confronting Ward Abbott, and they go over the fact that Marie was killed in India, and basically all the stuff that we need to fill in the listener who did not watch the last movie, so they know what's going on. So basically saying that Abbott essentially arranged the hit that more or less got Marie killed. And then we immediately establish sort of that Kramer is now the bad guy, because Kramer sort of takes up the same space that Brian Cox did in sort of being like, well, we still need to get Bourne, and we need to very much like, Bourne is the enemy. We need to, not wanting to find out any information from him, not willing to try and bring him in alive. So clearly he's hiding something as well right from the jump. Oh, and he also sort of has this weird assumption that Bourne is gunning for the CIA, which doesn't entirely track.
I mean, it's not like it's a huge stretch, but
right.
It was kind of a weird thing to start off with. Like, they were kind of leading you into the plot of where things are going before it got there, before they even have Patty Considine's character into it and all the other stuff. So it's sort of like, well, I guess thinking about it now, if you look at it, he was just sort of like, well, he does have all this information and he can expose this, and maybe that was just them trying to illustrate that's where his true fear was coming from very early on in the movie. Right,
because he does drop the line, hope for the best, plan for the worst type thing. So I get it. You're the director of the CIA. You want to keep things clean. But, of course, Pam thinks otherwise. She points out that Bourne could have sent the tape to CNN, but doesn't. But then Kramer's like, well, he still could. So anyway. So then we're in Turin, Italy. Hi, I'm in Turin, Italy.
Famous for its shrouds, I hear.
Yes. And we see Patty Considine, a.k.a. Simon Ross, and he's going to meet with Neil Daniels, who is the Madrid CIA station chief. And they go and they talk about Bourne. He has the little wanted flyer that was printed up from the last movie, either by the police or maybe it was by Nikki. I don't remember. But it was one.
Does it matter? I don't think it
doesn't matter. No, he has one. All I know is he got a copy of it. He was in and around the area.
It feels like maybe everybody in Europe at that point in time had a copy of that flyer.
It was the hottest mixtape of 2006.
You got a Bourne flyer? What?
You should see the t-shirt, man. So Ross already basically knows that he's been on the run since Berlin 3 years ago, and that Marie was killed, and he's like, how do I connect the dots or whatever? And then
pretty much,
and Daniels is like, turn off the tape recorder. And then of course right after he says turn off the tape recorder, we don't get to hear any of the discussion, and we just cut, and we're off to Paris, France. And there's Daniel Bruhl, and he's coming out of a train station. He heads home, and he gets home, and Bourne is there waiting for him. And hi. So clearly they have met because he's not surprised to see him or scared. And boy, I got to tell you, I don't ever want to run into Jason Bourne and have him tell me, why don't you sit down?
Right?
Because every time Bourne tells somebody to sit down, it's not good. It's usually not good, or it's a hard truth that I'm not sure I'm ready to digest. So,
yep.
But he tells Marie's brother to sit down, and he lets him know that Marie is dead, and that it's interesting that they go back to the whole thing where the brother assumes that she would die in some way that's not natural based on kind of her travels and her track record and that sort of thing. And it's also interesting that his brother is kind of got a streak of vengefulness in him, because he's like, did you kill him? And Bourne's like, well, yes.
It's kind of what I do.
Yeah, it's kind of what I do. I'm Jason Bourne. And then he's like, someone started all this and I'm going to find them, which is really the whole premise of all of these movies, kind of.
Pretty much.
Which is why it's unfortunate that in retrospect, now that I've seen this movie with the gift of time, or perhaps the not gift of time, that it's like, why didn't they come up with something a little bit more,
I feel like it's just the through point for the whole series. Man with no memory, finding out who he is.
Yeah, and so they just have to build on all the horrible things that went down, starting with Treadstone, and so they have to just amplify up what happened since then to make it seem even worse by the time he gets to the truth or whatever.
Right.
So then we're at Heathrow Airport in London, and we're back with Simon Ross, and he's on the phone with, I can only guess, his editor, and he's talking about Bourne and Operation Blackbriar, and that sets off some kind of phone monitoring trigger in the CIA's survey. I know.
I feel like we're kind of overplaying the CIA surveillance ability here.
Yeah, well,
where they've literally so dialed in. Yeah, exactly.
It's 2007. I mean, if it was like 2015, maybe 2016, maybe I would buy that. But like back then, like for them to be listening on every phone call in the universe.
Yeah, and for such an innocuous word. Like, yeah. I can think of a place called the Blackbriar Inn that I used to drive past, I think in California when I was a kid.
There was a steakhouse called the Blackbriar Inn nearby the previous undisclosed location.
So I'm just saying, why would that one word in some random conversation set off a flag that starts a chain of events? I just don't buy it.
Also, I was alive in 2007, and I know what voice recognition was like back then, and it was not very good. So for them to be able to be listening in on every single cell phone call everywhere at all times, and for that to trigger just feels really thin. So thin.
Or it's terribly frightening if that was actual technology in 2007.
That's true.
For our intents and purposes with the narrative.
Yes. So it triggers something in CIA surveillance technology. And so first it goes to the substation in London, then it goes to Langley, and then it goes to New York, where we see Section Chief Vosen for the first time getting out of a car, and he immediately walks in and he hears from his right-hand man or whatever that the call came from Ross and who Ross is, and that they're now surveilling him.
So I just want to point out, so this starts us up on the first of 3 listen up people speeches, which I think is a record for this franchise.
There is a lot of listening up, listening in an upwards direction.
Exactly. This is the first time out of 3 times that someone in this actually says, listen up, people. So I've got a counter going here, and I will advise everybody when we reach the next one.
Excellent work, Jason. So back in Paris, we see really quickly, we get this quick shot of Bourne. He picks up a copy of The Guardian and he gets on a train. And then we're back to the CIA again, and Vosen is listening into Ross's phone call, and it's literally like 5 seconds. It just says Blackbriar, and that's the beginning of it all, blah, 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 blah. And he immediately asks to put an asset in place in case he wants to take out Ross, which is wild that back then even for a CIA section chief to be like willing to assassinate a reporter, that's insane.
In a friendly country.
Yeah, in a country that you're allies with.
Right. But I mean, I guess that just sort of, it serves to illustrate the flexibility that Blackbriar has with, because it sounds like Blackbriar was supposed to be their 007 program.
Yeah, more or less. Yikes. But anyway, so then Vosen walks into the all-new Situation Room, and as Jason pointed out, we get our first listen up of this movie, and
I will point out the first "Give me everything you got."
Yes, because definitely that's another one that they use all the time. Give me everything you got on blah blah blah.
Yep.
Also, I would say this is the Situation Room. This is like the quintessential Situation Room. When I think of Situation Rooms, this is the one that like I think of in my head. All Situation Rooms look like this one.
Right.
So they start swarming on Ross, and we get the whole, like you said, the whole line about, give me everything you got. I want to know what he's going to think before he does it. And most importantly, he sort of implies that they want to find his source, because they don't really care about him as much as finding his source, because clearly there's a leak somewhere.
Right.
So then we're back to Bourne, and he's reading the Guardian article, which leads to a flashback of Marie, which then leads to a flashback of the program beginning. And one thing of note in these flashbacks is that he did not agree to the program. Like there's a line in there where he's saying like, which is new, which almost feels like a retcon in a way.
Well, and it turns out to be false anyway.
Yeah, because at the end you find out that he did volunteer himself, and it's just like, maybe it's just in his head that he thinks that he never signed up for this. Like he wants to believe that he never signed up for this.
Yep.
So in his flashback, it says that he did not agree to the program. He's like, I don't want to do, like I can't do this or whatever. And then we see some shots of him being essentially waterboarded. And then we get another flashback to him kissing Marie. It's kind of weird. They do the waterboarding to kissing to being underwater. So it's all these things where basically a person can't breathe. So you're either can't breathe because you're being waterboarded, can't breathe because you're kissing someone, can't breathe because you're trying to resuscitate your dead girlfriend underwater. So yeah. And then we're done with that and we're back to Ross, and we see Ross head to the Guardian headquarters with the CIA. Again, this level of surveillance feels a little sus, but I'll just go with it for the sake of getting through this movie.
Why are there so many CIA operatives in London?
London.
Are they in the same building that Richard Gere and Michael Fassbender are in right now?
I don't know, probably. But while Ross is talking to, I'm guessing, his editor, this girl comes in saying he has a phone call for him on her phone, because, as we all know, Jason Bourne is very savvy when it comes to surveillance.
And, of course, she couldn't possibly put the line on hold and transfer to his desk, which would then put it on his phone. Nor could the CIA possibly tap the entire PBX trunk and intercept every call on the main trunk. No, we just tapped his phone.
That's right. So
we don't tap everybody. We have to follow some kind of jurisprudence here.
Sure. even though we put assets in place to kill reporters in different countries.
Yep. Totally different thing.
But anyway, Bourne tells Ross to meet him at the Waterloo station and then hangs up. I also think it's really funny. So then Ross goes outside and the street level audio that they're able to obtain of what Ross is saying is, again, just like, really? Like, do they have like one of those guys that you see like at football games with the giant
the big parabolic dish?
Yeah, the big parabolic dish to pick up Nat sound. Like, are they have one of those guys out there too? But I digress. They hear him talking and they activate the assassin or asset, whatever you want to call him. Anyway, we then see Bourne and he's at Waterloo Station. He buys a prepaid phone. I will say, I really like this scene at Waterloo Station. Like, it's pretty clever.
Yes.
And I do feel like this is one of the strong suits of this movie is the Bourne outsmarting the CIA type stuff that he does definitely makes up for the fact. Like, I can certainly tell that Greengrass is trying to swap this type of stuff from the extreme action of the previous film. At least that's what it feels like. So,
well, yeah, I feel like they're trying this whole movie. They're really just trying to get Bourne's story out. And a lot of action would have clogged it up.
Yeah. So he gets the prepaid phone and then he does this clever little bump with Ross and drops the phone in his pocket and then he walks away and he finds some vantage point to see what Ross is doing and he calls Ross and tells him where to go and who's watching him. And so I called you when I was taking my notes on this movie. I sent you a text message and you disagreed with me on this point, but I'm just going to throw it out to the tens of listeners. I felt like this was almost like the phone call in the first Matrix movie when Morpheus is directing Neo through that very corporate-y office structure. He's like, there's an open cubicle on your left. Go now. And that's kind of what this felt like. It was like almost like an homage to that. But
it definitely felt like that, but I don't think it had anything to do with that. Because as I pointed out, as I texted you back, because it's an original idea. Okay. It serves the purpose. It serves the purpose here. And to be honest, a lot of it was, Bourne was more direct in things. He was actually involved in it as opposed to Morpheus, who was just watching it through his video screen of the Nebuchadnezzar and directing him on where to go.
Right. He's just this omniscient voice that tells him exactly what to do in that, where Bourne is an active participant in the whole thing.
Yes.
So from there, I do love this moment where he makes Ross go to the bus stop. And there's this guy with a blue hoodie there. and he specifically tells Ross to turn towards the guy with the blue hood, like stand next to the guy with the blue hoodie and turn towards him. And suddenly all the CIA guys are like, who's the guy in the blue hoodie? We got to find out about the guy in the blue hoodie. And all I could think was
I thought that was so clever, man.
It was so clever. And I kind of imagined, like, what if Bourne knew that guy and was like, I'm going to prank this motherfucker right here. Like, I'm going to get him apprehended by the CIA because I don't like him. And just like, gotcha, bitch. So anyway, he's like, all right, when the bus comes, I want you to walk this way, and Ross walks that way. And meanwhile, the CIA guys swarm on the blue hoodie guy and use that little EpiPen looking stun thing that they showed for half a second in the movie.
Yeah.
And they pull him into a van. God knows what happened to him. So then we get a quick shot of Paz making his way to the station. And then Bourne then sort of silently creeps up on Ross, who's at a newsstand. And Ross talks to Bourne about how Bourne is sort of like square one of Treadstone and that Blackbriar is like an upgraded version of Treadstone. And Bourne's like, Blackbriar? What's Blackbriar? And, all that sort of begins that whole thing. And at this point, the goons are closing in, so they split up and they're back on the phone. And this is when Paddy Considine does a really good job of demonstrating a man who has now become extremely paranoid about everyone. He no longer can trust anything. And instead of he doesn't trust Bourne enough to just follow directions.
Right.
And so he sees the guy who's a janitor and he's like, I think he's pulling a gun. And Bourne's like, no, don't, no. He's just a janitor, dude. Just leave him alone. Don't change your course. And of course, that is not what happens. But so now Bourne basically has to start cleaning up after Ross because Ross isn't following exactly what he's doing. So the guys that are now following Ross, he's like coming up behind and taking those guys out. Eventually they're in that stairwell and we see Bourne takes the guys out and Vosen sees him on camera because of course they have access to every single camera in the world.
Bullshit!
Exactly. Thank you, Iceman. But that's when we get the quintessential Bourne meme.
Jesus Christ. That's Jason Bourne.
So at this point, they think Bourne is Ross's source, who obviously we know he's not. And this is when Vosen goes full crazy and says to block the exits and have the asset take out both of them at Waterloo Station, which I'm going to say that's bullshit. Oh, and then one more thing, then they kill all the cameras. So somehow they have the technology to kill all the cameras at the station as well, so that they can take out these two people in the middle of the busiest train station in all of London. So that's a thing. So anyway, Bourne makes his way out there to try and figure out what's going on because he's like, something's not right. He's like, don't come out. And of course, Ross is like, oh, but I see it's clear. The coast is clear. I can go. And he doesn't listen to Bourne. What happens when you don't listen to Bourne? Just listen to Bourne.
You get shot in the head. That's what happens.
That's right. Just listen to Bourne. If there's one thing I've learned, listen to Bourne. Just do what he says.
If Ross had listened to Bourne, he would have been born free.
Oh, God.
That's 3 on the board, Ben. 3 on the board.
Oh, boy. That one was bad.
They're not going to get any better.
No, they're just going to get worse. But I digress. So then the cops start swarming at this point, and Paz packs up, and Bourne tries to pursue Paz, but misses him at the subway station. He just gets away. And then we see Vosen on the phone with someone saying, we have a situation. And then we cut to Kramer saying he wants to see Pam. And that's all we get there. And then we're back, and we're at Bourne's favorite place in the whole world, Jason. And what's that?
The now non-existent Internet Cafe.
So many memories, Jason. Who could forget the last time he was at an internet cafe and found out about Irene Nesky? I mean...
Can I just say, for historical purposes, I have never been to nor do I think I would have ever needed to be at an internet cafe. Is that a thing? Was that really a thing?
I think it's more of a European thing than an American thing, because I certainly never needed to go to one either. And I don't even remember there being one near me.
I've only ever seen them in movies.
Yeah. So this series of movie.
Maybe this is the only one and I'm imagining the rest.
That's quite possible. But anyway, he's at an internet cafe and he's going through. He also managed to pick up Ross's notepad before the police started swarming. He's going through that and he finds this thing scribbled in there that says Sewell and Marbury investment bankers. So he looks that up on the internet and he finds an address that's in Madrid. So he decides that's where he's going next. So then we cut to Madrid, Spain, and we see Neil Daniels, and he's watching the news from an office in Madrid about Ross's death. And that's when he quickly gets all his files on Blackbriar and gets the hell out of there.
Yeah, he does.
And that kind of leads us into Act Dos.
So we jump back to New York City, where Vosen meets Pam at a fancy restaurant where he's having his heart-healthy omelet. I don't know. You know what? I don't know if they threw that in there just to show what kind of a pompous asshole he is, but it really worked for me.
Well, I suppose it's pompous in 2007 to have an egg white omelet. I don't know if it flies in 2025, but
I think it's still pompous now if you call it a heart-healthy omelet. Just call it an egg white omelet.
Yes.
Which is what Pam says when she walks out at the end of the scene. Enjoy your egg white omelet.
You hoity-toity douche.
Yeah, exactly. I like Chris Cooper's character better than yours. But anyway, Pam shows up at the table. She just orders coffee. He's like, "Are you sure? I'm buying."
It does play perfectly with his character, because it's like, it just makes him, it's like, oh, maybe I have a chance with Pam or something,
Yeah, exactly. I need to make her feel comfortable, and hey, maybe she'll want to sleep with me. I don't know. But anyway, they go through the whole little repartee about how they do things differently and they see things differently. And he kind of intimates that he's glad he can help her get through some unfinished business. And she's like, is that really what it is? Is that really, or is it me coming up here and cleaning up your stupid bullshit?
Yeah.
Which is, unfortunately what they want her to think, as we find out later. But she definitely comes in with that sort of, I got the shit on you, motherfucker, so shut up and I'll see you back at the office. But they do it.
And it is sort of interesting that they did sort of bring up that apparently they worked in like Stockholm or something together. And clearly he has a history of just going way too far and her not agreeing with his methods. And
Right. And so, she leaves because she knows in her head, she's been told she's taking this off of his hands because he's incompetent. But the reality of the situation will shine its ugly head further on down the line.
Indeed.
So we get this moment where we're back at the CIA building where we get Listen Up speech number 2 as directed by Pam Landy now.
Yes.
And can I just say, I like hers a lot better.
Yes. It feels more legit. It feels like maybe I should actually do it.
Right.
Like there might be consequences. It doesn't just feel like something that dumb guys say.
Well, yeah, there's a level of competence and confidence there, that's not just douchebaggery being thrown around with some testosterone for good measure.
Indeed.
But she's chastising them all like she's their mom, and they forgot to pick up their socks.
And I love how the one guy literally has the ignorance to try and challenge her, being like, you got any better ideas? And she's like, yeah, idiot. Check to see who was on the phone the entire time Ross was in Italy.
Right.
You'll probably come up with a very short list of people.
Right. And they're all like, but it's funny because the guy's like, there's only 4.
Yeah, he's like, he suddenly feels dumb. He's like, there's only 4.
So anyway, guess what? Her little trick about tracking phones works. Then they do a little bit of bleep, bleep, check the main screen, bloop, bloop, bleep, bleep. Look, there's some initials. ND could possibly be North Dakota. It must be Neil Daniels.
Hey, there's your leak. Where's he stationed? Oh, look, Madrid, Spain.
Which we immediately cut to, where we see our favorite person, Mr. Bourne, inside the Sewell and Marbury office, which is essentially a safe house or just a front for the CIA. or both.
Right.
Who knows? I'm actually going to kind of go with probably front since Nikki's working there. But
yeah.
He finds a picture of Daniels, which is attached to, or it's a picture of Daniels with Hirsch. But seeing Daniels, he has a flashback to the person who's escorting him down this hallway in this building where he's having the flashbackiness in.
Yes.
At the beginning of the program. And while all this is going on, because they got people everywhere, your Central Intelligence Agency,
so many people, good Lord,
has mobilized a small 2-man unit to get into the safe house and purportedly kill Neil Daniels because they don't know he's not there yet, right?
Right.
So in the process of getting this team going, back in the Situation Room, Pam and Vosen start arguing because Vosen's like, send him in heavy, which I'm guessing means firearms. And Pam's like, why?
Right.
And this is after...
He's an agent.
This is after, she just came out and gave like a wizard performance on how to run a Situation Room. And he's all like, I'm going to go in with guns because I love guns. Guns are great. But it's weird. What's weird in this scene, though, is that if Pam's running the show, why didn't she just say no?
Yeah, if she's quarterbacking, quote unquote quarterbacking the scene, like who truly runs the show here? And it almost just sort of felt like a shouting match almost.
Yeah.
Or like who was, well, and it does sort of go back to the whole sort of stereotype about the CIA being sort of this place where everybody has alliances within the CIA and you can't even trust people within the organization itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's kind of an undercurrent here, right? Everybody in that room's got their own agenda. Some of them are just a little more honest about things than others.
Right.
But anyway, so we jump back to Bourne, who snaps out of his flashbacks and looks at the TV screen and sees that there's people coming in through the front door. So he knows he has to act fast. So what does he do? He grabs the world's least noisiest ceiling fan in the world, tapes his flashlight to it, sticks it behind the door, and in true Kevin McAllister style, fakes out the two bad guys coming into the room, thinking that there's somebody walking under the door, but they're really not.
No paint cans, though.
No paint cans, though. No hot irons. No nothing like that. But Bourne still gets them because he kicks the living shit out of them. Can I also point out that we got these
and
really
somehow
cool...
they're not dead.
Right? But he doesn't seem to kill a lot of people this one, which is kind of a stretch for him. But
well, that was clearly a decision that they made.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Was this PG-13 or R?
It was PG-13.
Yeah, maybe there was a limit.
Yeah, it could have been that too. It could have. Just...
I mean, he does brutally murder somebody at the end of the movie, so
yeah,
maybe they needed, maybe they needed to lighten the load a little. I don't know. But one of the cool things about that scene, which part of me wants to say it was janky, but they at least made the effort of looking like it wasn't a great technology, was the camera on the gun thing. Where they're watching the GoPro version of that pistol with the guy.
That felt very Aliens to me, honestly.
Yes.
Like the cameras from Aliens.
But that's because they had the same artifacting on the screen they were watching.
Yes.
That they were trying to imitate on Alien. But I appreciated the fact that they didn't make it look crystal clear, like, their cell phone pickups and their audio pickups and everything else. Like, this one piece of actually plausible technology doesn't work great.
Right.
So that was pretty good. I kind of like that. But anyway, so Bourne beats the crap out of it, of the two guys. Vosen is very happy about it because they're hearing the takedown. Well, they see the cameras go offline, and I don't remember if there's any verbal or anything confirmation, but the video image just goes down, and like, shit, what happened, right? So Bourne is getting ready to bail out of there, and then he sees somebody else coming up the stairs, and who does it turn out to be? Mm-hmm. Why, if it isn't Nikki Parsons, our favorite tell people where to go. She's the man in the van. But now she's not in the van. She's the girl in the office.
And can I just say, you can tell that they styled her to be the sort of leading lady in this. Because they kind of, a slight dolling up, if you will.
Yeah. They took her out of
Nikki.
They took her out of nebbish technician and turned her into actual capable CIA person.
Yes. And also a little bit of, well, hello.
Yeah, well, because they, like, as you pointed out when we were talking about the movie before we went into it, that a little bit of a potential love interest there that doesn't get explored at all, at least at this point.
Yes, they just sort of just mildly imply it in a single line and then just drop it all together after that.
Yep. Coming up soon, people. But anyway, so here's Nicky Parsons. The phone starts ringing because Vosen wants to call and make sure that his assassination team is going to come pick up the telephone, I guess. So dumb. I guess they could see the same cameras that Bourne could see, maybe. I don't know. They seem to see every other camera in the world. But anyway, so the phone rings and rings and rings. As Bourne has his gun in her face, and she picks up the phone. And, we're all fine now. We're fine here. How are you? It's a very Han Solo moment.
Yeah.
Although they did have that nice little, challenge question bit, which I thought felt very authentic.
Yes, very much so. I thought it was interesting that she didn't, and Bourne, of course, knew that that's a protocol. So he was very surprised that she went with the non-distress word.
Right. So she pulls the wool over Vosen's very easy to pull the wool over eyes, because this guy's a dipshit. I got to be honest with you. He's definitely a political guy. He definitely made his way up at CIA politically, not through actually doing anything.
Yeah. He makes a lot of dumb mistakes through this.
Right. So Nikki's kind of like, so he tells Nikki she's got a backup team. Tell him it's a backup team in an hour, which she translates to, I know what that really means, 5 minutes. And then about 3 minutes, she says. It's like the time frame keeps scaling back. Bourne's like, how long have I got? 3 minutes. Well, he just said 5 minutes, but okay, whatever. All right. Either way, they need to go. And so she's like, I don't know if this will help you any, but I've got a car downstairs. And so they head downstairs.
Yes, that's very helpful, actually.
It is very helpful. Thank you. But before they go, this is maybe my favorite part of this movie. Before they go, Bourne picks up the phone, dials 911, and in Spanish says, I hear voices at the building. I think they're gunshots, and I think they're American. Then before he throws the phone down, he throws it on the ground, and he takes his gun, pop, 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 with his Glock, and then they go running off. I'm like, that's fucking brilliant. It's such a well-written little bit.
Maybe the smartest piece of writing in this whole thing for him to do that.
Right. So they book downstairs as they come out the side of the building, heading towards the car. More CIA operatives show up because there's so many of them everywhere.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. And as they're getting ready to engage, here comes the Madrid Police Department, and they see guys with guns, and they're all like, "You better get your asses down, senor!" And Nikki and Bourne get into her car. She's driving, by the way, which was interesting too. I guess you knew there wasn't going to be a car chase at that point.
Indeed.
Right. So, they hop up in the car.
But she's hauling ass, though.
Oh,
she's hauling ass. And
yeah, she's like...
they show some shots of her, flying.
I did some driver training at CIA. It's fine. I know what to do.
I'm no longer delegated to just photoshopping some wanted posters anymore, big guy.
Exactly. I know how to do things. So anyway, before they left the building, Nikki had told Bourne that Daniels had wired a bunch of money to Tangiers, and that's probably where... And actually booked a flight for Tangiers, too, I think she notes in there as well. So they're heading off to Tangiers in Nikki's automobile, which, according to Bourne, is only about 300 miles away. They can just catch the ferry in the morning. Now, I don't know how geography works very well. I'm an American. I know how to find my country, but not every state in my country. So I'll have to take it on faith that you can take a boat to Tangiers from Spain. Kind of works in my head, though.
Also, I don't know how boats work, but 300 miles in a boat seems like a long boat ride.
Well, it's a ferry,
a really long boat ride.
It's a ferry. They're pretty stable. I don't know.
But they're fast, though?
Oh, gosh,
I'm just thinking about speed.
No, not at all.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, my God, that's going to take a very long time.
I mean, I don't know. You're probably going to get 20 knots, maybe. Maybe not that. Probably 15 knots. Not going super fast. You can be a minute to get there. Look, man, I don't know this stuff. My job is just to read the script and be funny. So if any of our 10s want to help us out with this, we got fact checkers out there. They could clear all this up for us. They clear all this up.
That's right.
So anyway, they are going to Tangier, which is good because that's where they need to go. So anyway, Vosen back in the Situation Room. He's super butthurt about the fact that he just got played again by Jason Bourne. So he issues a standing kill order on Jason Bourne, which I'm kind of surprised didn't already exist. But maybe he was just doing like a double secret probation kind of thing, like from Animal House. We're going to kill him dead twice. I don't know.
Maybe he was just tired of saying, listen up.
That he could be, because he got right back to telling people to close things down, right? Shut down all air and ground border exits. Nobody gets out. Nobody gets out. So I don't know. I didn't keep
Except
a counter.
he forgets to talk about closing down water.
Well, that's the problem is that he's from America. He also doesn't know geography. So like you and me, he's not really sure how that plays out. But unlike you and me, he doesn't have the tens of listeners to help give him that information. He only works for the CIA. He
That's
don't know
right.
jack shit. Because the CIC informants significantly better than the CIA informants.
Much more geographically savvy.
Well, and yet so diverse. We have operatives everywhere.
We certainly do.
So we kick back to Pam confronting Vosen, and there's this discussion in Vosen's office where Pam wants to know exactly what Blackbriar is. And, he's sort of like playing it coy, but she's like, I'll go to the director if I have to.
Yeah.
It's not like I don't have the security level here. I already knew about the previous thing. So he basically says it's their version of a brainwashed 007 program, which gives them carte blanche to pick up, interrogate, surveil, and take lethal action without having to get authorization first, which, sort of is against things like the Constitution, law, mainly because there's indications that Americans have been tampered with in this particular program. So no due process there at all. Vosen argues that Daniels has all the intel on this operation and doesn't want Bourne putting it out there on the free market, which every time they bring this point up, it gets lamer and lamer. You start to realize...
Yeah, because it's like...
Because he started at the very beginning of the movie saying, what if he's trying to sell our secrets? Not Vosen, but the director. And, every time they put it out there, it just feels like this is a justification to wipe out evidence of things, which, it's kind of a thing here. The CIA, they're not great guys, is what they're saying. Except Pan Landy, she's pretty great.
That's right. But I mean, it gets lamer too because Bourne has not ever, in the entire trilogy, has ever shown any interest in getting a bunch of money for any information whatsoever. That has never been his interest from day one. So
no, and she points it out. He's trying to track things back from when things began. So knowing that, so he's trying to figure things out, and that's the only thing he wants is information. He doesn't care about bringing down the stuff, which bears out later when he's like, "You do it." I don't fucking need to do this shit.
Yeah,
I got some killing to do, probably, or maybe not. I don't know. It's Albert Finney. I like him. So he's a great actor. Maybe don't want to shoot him. But anyway, so if we cut from there to Nikki and Bourne. They're kind of taking a rest stop at a diner of some kind.
Which feels so similar to the diner scene in Bourne Identity with Marie.
Right?
It is just, again, another one of these, like, playing out the same scene, but slightly different. Like the Bizarro World version of the diner scene with Marie. But now it's Nikki.
Well, yeah, exactly. And everything just sort of feels very cyclical in this movie, like they're trapped in a loop. But anyway, so they're sitting at the table, fidgeting with their little espresso cups. I guess they need to have espresso at 3 a.m. to keep themselves awake. But Bourne explains to her that until he finds out how this all started, he's never going to be free of what happened. He pulls out the picture of Daniels and Hirsch, who he both recognizes but doesn't know who they are. And he shows it to her, and she's like, well, that's Daniels right there. I don't know who the other guy is. But Bourne's like, but yeah, both of them were there at the beginning. Then Bourne basically asks Nikki why she's helping him when she was kind of like, not very helpful in the last 2 movies, which he doesn't say, but it's implied in my mind. But he asks why she's helping him, and she replies, well, it was difficult for me with you. And he stares back at her like, more please. And she's like, you really don't remember anything, do you? And he's like, yeah, no. Yeah, no.
Yeah. But it's like the one line that sort of hints at the fact that maybe they had some sort of romantic thing. There's even a thing if you go to bourne.fandom.com, not that you can take that as scripture or anything, but in an alternate version of the Bourne Supremacy script, Nikki had many more scenes, and there was even an alternate ending where it's sort of like they had some sort of relationship, but instead has been whittled down to this one line that sort of implies that there was something a little more going on between the two of them.
Well, and what's weird is the fact that the character has so much more agency in this film than the last two. Makes me wonder if that was a subplot that maybe they filmed but they cut, or was part of an earlier script that they liked the dialogue but they got rid of the idea, and it's kind of a remnant from that point. But it feels like if you're building the character to be this stronger character with more agency and the ability to do things, and then you're going to imply this, that there should have been more of it addressed in the film, at least in a flashback or something. And who knows, maybe had there been an actual Bourne 4 in the regular passage of time,
right?
Maybe there would have been more of that. Like, he gets it figured out, he finds her. Almost, he sends her packing, and I really wish there'd been an end credits scene like there was in Bourne Identity, where he finds her.
That would have made so much more sense. And I think too, there's part of me that wonders whether they left that line in as like a just in case. Like a just in case we do make a Bourne 4. And we can then delve deeper into this. Did something happen between these two before Treadstone or whatever?
Right. I'm assuming after Treadstone, because she was his handler.
Yeah, I don't even know.
In comes swinging Dick Bourne. Hey, Nikki, how you doing?
Oh, boy.
You want to see my Bourne ascendancy?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You see how I'm completely closed off, but completely in control?
Absolutely.
Women love that.
Exactly. I'm literally the biggest red flag you've ever seen in your life. But you can fix me.
That's right.
The only thing you need to do to fix me is apparently shoot me in the back twice and dump me in the ocean, and I'm ready to go.
That's right.
So anyway, we go back to the CIA again, where some tracker's going off again, and it's telling him that Daniels is now in Tangier. I think they're tracking his cell phone is what's telling him that.
Yeah.
Landy's number 2 guy, who is still smarter than everybody else in that room.
Yeah.
I got a real Tanner vibe from him,
Yes, very much so.
Right? So Landy's number 2 guy tells her that they're trying to keep Daniels there by not releasing his money while they can get an asset there. Basically, they're going to take him out. So she tries to call Kramer, but he purposely makes himself unavailable because he's in on it. We all know he's in on it. We're figuring out he's in on it at this point.
I think we figured it out from the very first meeting that he's in on it.
I like Scott Glenn, but if he's not doing something incredibly heroic in the first 15 minutes of the movie he's in, he's the bad guy. There's just no way around it.
Oh, absolutely.
And in my, it's funny because in my mind, I'm like, is this the same guy from Silence of the Lambs? Because he was like an assistant director in Silence of the Lambs, got promoted, got rid of Jodie Foster. No, Pam Landy was Jodie Foster. I don't know. I really want there to be some like Silence of the Lambs, Jason Bourne fan fiction, I guess. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm moving on.
All right. Moving on.
Anyway, so we jump back to Tangier. And Vosen is told that the asset has now arrived in Tangier. He instructs the team on the ground, another CIA team, to figure out, wouldn't it be funny if it was the same team and they're having to play catch up this whole time? They're like, motherfucker, pick a place. Jeez. You think Europe's small, but now we're going to Africa. Come on. So anyway, he instructs the team on the ground to figure out what the route is going to be between Daniel's hotel and the bank that he's going to. Meanwhile, Bourne and Nikki get there as well through the airport.
No, they were on a boat, though.
Oh, I guess,
remember they took the boat?
Yeah, but it looked like an airport, and I could easily make that mistake because we've already determined the boat's going to be really slow. Look, boat, it was a hovercraft port in that movie we watched the other day. Who knows what that is? Could you say something more European, please? Come on. All right. So you're right. They took a ferry, but did they take a ferry? Where'd their car go? Did they not take the car?
They did not take the car.
Do they have ferries in Europe that just ferry people and not cars? Maybe I'm making the mistake there.
Oh, I don't know. But I don't think they had a car.
Because to me, a ferry is something that ferries things. They didn't have a car. You had to steal a little motorbike.
Yeah, he had to steal the scooter.
Right. So, okay, so there was no car. So maybe it's just a people ferry, like, but not a car ferry, which could go faster.
Yeah, which would make more sense then. If it can go faster because there's no cars.
So officially, since it's not on the screen, for the CIC's purposes of this particular review, they got on a people ferry. It went much faster than a car ferry. It got to Tangier. They came into the airport that was actually a ferry port, and we're moving on. Okay, good. All right.
Okay.
So Bourne and Nikki arrive at the thing where they leave with no trouble. But
no trouble whatsoever.
No trouble whatsoever. They check into a hotel. Looks super nice for Tangier. Not that I've ever been there, but it looks pretty nice for what I would think a
seemed pretty nice.
Tangier would look like.
Yeah.
Bourne's like, maybe we get some more information on anybody that's coming in here. So Nikki gets on the computer to check that information out, and you'd think they would have blocked her information just to general principles, blocked her access, but they didn't because Vosen's dumb.
Yeah.
And so she realizes that they're using the asset named Desh. She gets his number, and then Bourne's like, call him and set up a meeting. She's like, well, they'll just send another one if we end up killing him. And he's like, no, we're going to follow him to get where we need to go. So They come up with the pretext of getting him a new phone to communicate with.
Right.
And then hopefully be able to follow him to Daniels. We see Desh, who also got off of, I think, the same ferry, because wasn't he also...
Probably.
But I thought he was also in the same area they were in. But he gets to wherever he's going, and he's not just going to do it with a bullet. Desh is building a motherfucking bomb.
Indeed.
Which is pretty great. It looks like a little cell phone on it. It's very fancy for what it's worth. But anyway, so we see Desh. He takes the bomb, puts it in his satchel bag, gets on his little motor scooter, nearly knocks some guy over while he's driving. That wasn't very cool. But he starts driving along. And then Nikki called him before, right? While he was building the bomb?
ahead of him.
Got it.
Yeah.
So the CIA is tracking his phone, and they're watching him, and he deviates from the course. And they're like, sir, should we do anything? Vo's like, nah, let's see how it plays out, because it's probably not going to be Jason Bourne again. I mean...
It's an old code, sir, but it checks out.
So he goes off course. Bourne then pickpockets somebody to get the keys to their scooter, and then follows Desh on that scooter. They then get, CIA gets notification that Nikki has used unauthorized access to interfere with the asset because, came back and bit her in the ass. And so, she's screwed. But also... Imagine that. Also, maybe you should have turned it off when she was in the game and you knew she was a player. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. So then we get this nasty exchange in the situation room where Vosen basically says, we're going to send the asset after Nikki because she's clearly bad news now and have him kill her when we're done. And Pam's like, are you fucking kidding me? I wish she'd said that. I would have spent the one F-bomb right there for that PG-13, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She also, you don't have authorization to kill her, which in fact he has explained he does.
He does.
And he looks at her and he goes, it ends when we've won. Right? So she's like, okay.
Yeah, she's like, where does it end?
Yeah. It ends when we won. And she's like, okay, sociopath. I have nothing to do with this shit anymore.
Right.
So this is kind of... So Desh has stopped. He's gotten the other phone. Nikki's just sort of sitting at this cafe table waiting to see what actually happens. But Desh then gets the updated... Or gets his kill list on his little flip phone. This cracks me up so much that they still had to use flip phones at this point to convey all this information.
Well, and that the photo on the flip phone is so clear.
Yes.
It's like...
I mean, maybe one,
it's like, sure.
one picture at a time, but it's two pictures next to each other. And I'm like, I remember the resolution on my Nokia. No.
It's like, okay, sure.
Right. He looks at the picture of Bourne, and Nikki, and then he looks in his rearview mirror, and who's following him? One guy he's supposed to kill.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
Further!
I'm going to kill you when I'm done. Bye! So, anyway, the two of them, Bourne and Desh, come to an intersection point. Bourne sees Desh drop the satchel that we think it has the bomb in it, but it's totally a misdirect because the bomb is actually still on his scooter, which set to a timer when he calls on his phone. Bourne sees Daniels coming in his Mercedes-Benz, tries to wave him off, thinking that the bomb is further ahead, but it's not. Desh pushes the button, and Bob's your uncle. Boom! Daniels dead.
Yes.
Bourne not dead. How Bourne is not dead and Daniels is dead, I don't know.
Well, because he's Bourne.
Yeah, we'll leave it to the ballistics experts. Who, if anything I've seen to the Tangiers Police Department and a few scenes later, don't do much unless you hand them some extra cash. So,
right.
Probably not going to get much out of that investigation. So anyway, Desh leaves. Bourne gets up, a little disjointed and distracted. Probably some ringing in his ears. But
yeah. I don't
Daniels
understand
toast.
why the police are now after Bourne, though. Because it clearly looks like it was Desh who did all this, and yet they're after him. But maybe it's because the CIA put out a thing to the Tangiers police or something like that, and that's why they're after him. That's the only thing I can surmise.
I think you got an explosion of a bomb that was caused by a guy who looks like he's supposed to be where he's at. But the guy who's making all the weird gesticulations and bringing attention to himself is the white guy that doesn't look like he belongs there. So, and I'm honestly...
Okay, that's fair.
If I hear a bomb blow up and I see Matt Damon, I'm probably going to think Matt Damon's responsible for that bomb going off in some capacity. Because,
it's clearly Matt Damon's fault.
If he's there... it's involving him in for some reason. Whether he set the bomb off or the bomb was there to kill him, it's Matt Damon. We know that he's capable of making bombs. I've seen a few of them. So he's definitely the guy I'm pinning the bombing on. If I'm going to
just ask Jimmy Kimmel.
Exactly. So anyway, Desh is now headed to go kill Nikki. Bourne is chasing after him. Hotwire's another motorcycle. And I feel like this is our homage to Mission Impossible at this point.
Yeah.
Certainly not an homage to John Woo, because it would have been better. But anyway, so he does do this kind of trick little jump off of a tiny angled curb.
And the platform is like 5 feet tall. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's not... A normal person would not look at that and go, I could jump my motorcycle up there.
Right. It's just it's the tiniest little angled piece of broken curb that he manages to do this with. I'm just like, okay. And it looks legit.
It does. Maybe that curb wasn't broken until they tried to do this gag.
Maybe like,
oops. Oh, ow, shit. Take 5. But anyway, so he's got the motorcycle, he's driving up there, and Nikki's sitting at this coffee shop where she hands off the phone to Desh. And you're like, why are you still here? Did you not hear the explosion? That should have been your cue to say, 2 things have happened. The guy I'm with survived, and I can meet him back at the hotel, or the guy I'm with is dead, and the other guy he was chasing might be coming after me. Maybe I should just mosey. But no, I'm going to sit here and finish my espresso. I like my espresso.
I've heard that espresso is lovely in Tangiers. So
in the spring. But anyway, she decides, maybe I should just get up and go. So she goes, and she does breaking my phone into pieces. Never really understood what that did. I think taking the battery out would be sufficient. But I don't know why breaking...
It's probably the SIM card thing.
Maybe. I mean, I guess you could make the argument it's still a flip phone at this point, so maybe there's an antenna that she's dealing with, breaking the antenna off of the phone.
Yeah, tracker.
So I guess. But you know what I miss, Ben?
What's that?
I miss breakable phones in spy movies. You can't take an iPhone or an Android and snap it in half unless you have superpowers, right?
Right.
So mostly it's bang, 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 or stomp, 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 or you got a hammer? Pow, pow, pow. But in the old days, you could really sell it by like, I am free. Snap, 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 snap. Patow. So much more visceral.
Satisfying.
Exactly. We've talked sometimes about how we kind of hate how cell phones have really changed how the suspense of a movie goes through because you now have instantaneous communication all of the time.
Right.
And I think that there's this little subset of how dramatic one could end that communication has become in the advent of the smartphone, right?
Right.
So one hopes that we get to that point where they always talk about in the movies of the future where cell phones are just a piece of glass, right? One
and
hopes
then you can just smash it.
You could see the glass smash on a wall when you throw it or something like that. So we can have that feeling of angry release that everybody who's being chased and has to break their phone doesn't get to do now.
I wholeheartedly agree.
That's my hope. But anyway, there we have it. So we get a chase. Who doesn't love chases? This guy, because this one is fucking dumb. It's coming from 3 different directions. We got this assassin programmed killer chasing after Nikki, who's like, this door won't open. This door won't open. This door won't open. I'll go in this one. It opened. And then he's like, I'm not even checking the doors. I already know which one's open. It's the only one I left open or something. I don't know.
It did seem like he seemed to know which ones were already open and which ones weren't.
Like he wasn't checking to make sure she might have gone in this one, might have gone in that one, right? Stormtrooper style, tink, 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 tink. This one's locked. Move along. No, he's like, I can tell that one's locked. I have these superpowers from this program. That one's locked. That one's locked. Meanwhile, I've just got my gun out because I'm in a alleyway. Nobody's going to see me. But,
right.
Nikki goes into this building that she's able to get into. Bourne, who's being chased by the police, ends up going up to the rooftops of another building, which is advantageous for him because now he can see what's happening in the hallways. And he sees Miss Nikki neatly coiffed walking down there. And then he sees, look at me with my Wolverine jacket and gun. So he can at least surveil everybody in the most non-technical way possible. But then the cops come over and chase him, and now he's got to go full Tom Cruise and start jumping over buildings and shit like that. But you know what? To her credit, Nikki had to do that shit too, which was kind of badass. Yeah. She just jumps over a building to get away from Dash. But Bourne's like, oh, hell no, I could do better than that. I'm going to jump through a window, not onto another building, and then I'm going to hit a table when I jump through that window. But I'm okay. He was like a 5-year-old that fell off his bike and scraped his knee. I'm fine, I'm okay. Can
I just say, though, this Bourne on the rooftop stuff, I feel like somebody in the Bond camp literally had like a pen and pad and was like looking over and scribbling notes down, because this scene is so similar to Quantum of Solace and the chase that happens then, and that's like a year, maybe 2 years later.
Yeah.
So it's like
I would even argue that Spectre is somewhat derivative of that too at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, and even the motorcycle chase scene in Skyfall.
Yeah. So, like I said, there's no original ideas.
No.
Anywhere in Hollywood anymore. It's just how you take them, you throw. It's like you're taking all the spices in the spice rack. You're throwing in a little bit of Matrix in there. Here's a little bit of Mission Impossible. We're going to put a lot of Mission Impossible because it makes money and everybody likes the flavor. But you know what we're going to do? Let's throw in a little bit of that Old Bay in there, and I don't know, whatever, the little chamomile, so everybody's a little relaxed and we're ready to go. But everybody's just putting together the same recipe with the same ingredients and hoping that you like their souffle better than the other guy's souffle, or at least as much as the other guy's souffle, so you'd pay for it again. That's right. It is. Yeah. So now that I've completely taken myself off track with food analogies, that was a bad call on my part. Eventually, we get to the point where all 3 of them get together in the same room. Thank God. Because now we get to have what may be, actually, it's a great fight, but ends up in a bathroom where I don't get the immediate need to vomit after I've watched the fight in there. So, a first.
They only get to the bathroom to the final kill scene. Like they only arrive. It's not a whole bathroom scene like we've gone over before. Jason doesn't like bathroom fight scenes. At least this just ends there. And most of it takes place.
Zero toilet involved. That's the great part. But you know what is involved in this fight, Ben?
A book.
And we pull that right out of the last one. pow, I'm going to hit you in the neck with the book. I'm going to beat you over the head with the book. I'm not going to kill you with the book, but I feel like I could have killed you with the book. But there's definitely a book involved in there. And somebody's like, that was such a cool scene before. Let's do that again.
Yes.
But Bourne just ends up brutally murdering him by, strangling him with a towel or something like that. And then Nikki pops in. She's like, oh, so that's what you do. Okay. Is it bad? Is it bad that it's kind of hot? I don't know. Meanwhile, Bourne's like, okay, well, you have to be dead. So send the code on his phone that says he successfully completed the mission. She does that. Vosen, who's a complete idiot, they're dead. Yay. And
let's
Pam's
tell everybody.
Right. And Pam's in there, and her Tanner comes in. Her Tanner comes in and says, so Bourne's dead. But she's like, I don't think she bought it even at that point.
Right.
Because how many times has Jason Bourne been dead before? And so she's like, is he though? I don't really know. But anyway, so we cut to Kramer. Now every time I say this, I just want to have Scott Glenn flying through a door. Hello, Vosen. But no. So we cut to Kramer.
Hey, Jerry.
He's got this, hey, Pam. What do you think about Jason Bourne? Huh? Yeah. But anyway, so we get this little phone call between him and Vosen where we're basically getting all the tea at this point. We're going to find out what's up. Vosen tells Kramer about Bourne and Nikki being dead. Kramer says that he can't have this come back on him. Really, you can't. Nobody wants this to come back on him, but okay, you're the guy in charge, so fine.
Right.
But he's basically now confirming that he's part of the whole thing. Then he lets in that, this is going to work out great because now we can make Landy the patsy. And, it's fine. I think everybody who was paying attention in this movie, at least on the second viewing, figured out that was happening all along. There were no surprises here is what I'm saying, Ben.
Yeah.
So cut back to Bourne and Nikki. Bourne starts talking about how he can see all the faces of the people he's killed, but he doesn't remember the names. Nikki is, of course, just trying to be attentive because she's like, well, no shit, you've got fucking amnesia.
Right.
But Bourne tells her she's going to have to learn to be on the run,
because she decided, hey, let's use my computer and basically make it known that I am no longer part of the team of the CIA.
Right. So you get to run away.
Forever.
And maybe,
forever and ever.
Forever and ever with your dark hair because nobody's going to believe you as a blonde anymore. You're in trouble.
That's right.
And we intercut to this Landy looking at Bourne's file where she's looking at the names of the people that he's killed. They all got the little terminated stamp on them and shit like that.
Right.
And looking at the file, she sees all of these. Well, and to be honest with you, on viewing number 2, I slowed this down to read all of this information from the document from Treadstone. It all says the same thing, but in different places. So there's no really good writing going on here. Just different part in different boldface. So it's basically reiterating Bourne's story of where he was reticent to get with the program. And so they had to basically subject him to more extreme measures to get him to get the full effect of what they were trying to do with the brainwashing. And you also see some information about Hirsch in there.
Right.
That he's in charge of the whole program and all the other things. But then we cut back to Nikki, who, as I noted before, now has her hair cut and it's dyed black. But here's the thing about dyeing Julia Stiles' hair black. She still has Julia Stiles' face. And I don't think that no matter what hair color you put on her, you're not going to recognize Julia Stiles somewhere. She has a very distinctive face, which I think is a very attractive face. But changing your hair, I guess, from all the surveillance that you have out there, they're just going to see a girl with black hair walking through. So as long as she doesn't look at a camera, she's probably fine. But it just seemed, out of all the people that you're going to change your hair color to make her look different, I feel like that's a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly going to be the least effective.
Like, maybe throw some Harry Carey glasses on her.
Right. I also find it interesting that during all of these transformations where people cut their hair and dye their hair a different color, they always cut their hair shorter. And that always feels counterproductive because, if anything, you want your hair to hide your face.
Yes,
and that doesn't happen.
Like, if you really want to change how she looks, you got to make that hair super, super short. And then that helps if you need to throw on a wig or 12, right?
That's true. There you go.
Or, ideally, with super short hair, you could get her super smoky eyes, and she can rock the Sarah Douglas from Superman 2. And, I would give that a lot more attention, but that's just me.
But maybe you don't want to draw attention to yourself in that respect.
Well, what does Nikki have to worry about from Jason Greenberg? Zero.
That's true.
But anyway, so she gets the I gotta go hide makeover that Maria got way back when. And she's getting onto a bus. And, I kind of like this scene between the two of them in the bus because they say a lot without saying a lot here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they say nothing except for it gets easier.
Right. But there's a lot of emotive subtext that's going on in this scene that I kind of applaud that they took a breath and let two actors act.
Yeah. Again, I do wish that they did what you sort of suggested they do in having sort of like a post-ending scene where they meet back up again, where he finds her again. Like that would have been nice. If you're going to repeat the movie again, repeat it all the way.
Yeah, but maybe she's not working at, an ocean
a scooter rental place.
Scooter rental place on a beach. Maybe she's working in the Alps. She's got her own little ski chalet that she has there.
Right.
And she's renting out skis and Swiss Miss Coco. I don't know.
Sure.
But you could have done something. Right? I mean, let's be honest with you. She looked really more like a skiing girl.
Absolutely.
Than a scooter girl.
Much more of a Midwest type of girl that could
absolutely
deal with the cold a little better.
Absolutely. So anyway, this all happens. Bourne goes over to goes wherever the investigation's happening with the police. Starts rifling through all of the remains of Daniel's car, some burned out briefcases, God knows what else.
And of course, he has complete access to it without the police being there, without the police being notified that he's there.
Right, because he bribed somebody.
Yeah. A bribe will get you a long way in Tangier, I'm telling you, man.
Apparently, man. But as he's rifling through the burned or charred remains of the car, not Daniel's, the car, just so we're all clear.
Yes.
He finds a little snippet of burned paper with this half of a CIA logo on it and an address. And I'm just like, there's an address for the Central Intelligence Agency in New York.
Convenient. It's awfully convenient.
I'm going to mail him a letter right now. Right? But then all he had to see was Sewell and whatever and knew that was a CIA front. It's like, how does he not know where the CIA thing is in New York? He probably could have got on that internet cafe of his and go, CIA locations in New York City, which, by the way, I did in case the CIA is monitoring what I did. It was research for this. I'm not trying to do anything. I just wanted to see if that was legit. And it's the second largest field or its office for the CIA in the United States, right after Langley.
Oh, wow.
So it's a legit thing. So because I was going to go call bullshit on it, but I couldn't because it's a real thing. But if I can find it, surely Jason Bourne with his internet cafe skills could have found it. But whatever, it's a movie.
No, he needed to find the charred remains of a file in order to find that address.
And honestly, I admire the restraint of not going to yet another internet cafe. Nobody really wanted to see that. So with that, we kick off the final repertory act of my repertory. I don't mean as in repertoire. I mean it's repeated. Act 3 to get us to the end of this sparkling and scintillating international thriller.
So basically, we're back at the CIA now, and Vosen finds out that Desh is actually dead, not Bourne. And at the same time, Pam's right-hand guy, whose name is Cronin,
Tanner.
Or Tanner in this case. We're just going to refer to him as Tanner. Same guy, basically. He's a Tanner. He's one of the Tanner models.
Exactly. He is a Tanner.
A Tanner.
Tanner 2.3, whereas the one that we get in Skyfall is Tanner 3.2.
Indeed. So Tanner tells her that one of Bourne's old Treadstone identities, Gilberto de Piento, which, can I just say...
Such a great name, you have to say it as often as you can.
Absolutely. Gilberto de Piento. I mean...
Paging Mr. De Pierto, paging Mr. Gilberto de Pierto. Please pick up the white courtesy phone.
So, anyway, Tanner tells her that this identity just cleared immigration in the U.S., and she feels like maybe Bourne is trying to communicate in sort of a covert sort of way to them because only Pam would be smart enough to pick up on this, because clearly Vosen is not smart enough to pick up on this sort of thing. So
he's an idiot.
Exactly. So Pam decides, why don't we send him a message back? So as he's walking out of the airport in New York City, you hear over the intercom, Gilberto de Piento, your party is waiting for you. So, and Bourne's just like, huh? And he almost looked like the dramatic chipmunk from the scene that we're going to see again soon. So,
yeah.
So anyway, then we see Bourne setting up at the building directly across from the CIA's deep cover building, and he's using his little scope to see Landy, and then he sees Vosen, and then he zooms so far in with this tiny little hand scope that he is able to see the lettering on the Blackbriar file as he's packing it away into a bag, because sure, it's that good of a scope.
Now, I'll be fair. You got to be fair. There are scopes that you could do that with.
Yes,
now,
but not
was it
that
the one
one
he was holding? I don't know. I don't know what the model and brand of the scope was.
I think you would need a telescope, not a little tiny handheld scope. You would need like an astronomy.
No. There are sniper scopes that will get you that close. I'm gonna agree with you. This one probably isn't the one, and it was. Right. It looked like it was a scope off of a gun, but I mean, I once had the opportunity to look through a sniper's actual rifle and scope as a younger man, and he pointed out to me he had it pointed at a marquee for a store that was well across the street from where we were at. He had it pointed at a hole in the marquee where there was a bird nest built into the marquee and 3 baby birds that were in there chirping away for their mom. And I know that because I saw it through the scope. So I know that you can get scopes that are really, really, really clear and really, really, really good. But I will concede that the one that he had probably wasn't that, considering that the lens end of that scope I was looking at was about 12 times the size of the eyepiece. So we'll take a little journalistic license, I think.
Yeah, all right, that's fine. I mean, I'm not a sniper and I don't play one on TV, so fair game. So yeah, so he sees all this through the scope, and then he also sees Vosen stow it away in the safe, so he kind of sees how the mechanics of the safe work, which is very important for later.
Which is the whole point, yes.
Yes. So then Bourne calls Pam, and then in the other room, we see that Vosen is secretly listening in. And then basically at this point, you sort of start realizing, wait a minute, this is the exact same scene from the end of the previous movie.
Yep.
Where we sort of add new meaning to the original phone call, where Pam tells Bourne that his real name was David Webb and that his quote-unquote birthday was 4/15/71, which we now know is code for something else. So then Bourne does the whole Bourne thing of letting her know that he's watching her by saying, "Get some rest, Pam. You look tired." Cue the dramatic hamster meme. And then... But of course, then this time Vosen says the obvious thing. He's nearby. He's right nearby, you know. So they try and find him. They send people out on the block to try and figure out where the hell, lock down the building, you know, call the president, you know, all the things, you know, because clearly Bourne is right across the street. So he's in the Situation Room looking for Bourne, probably once again saying, "Listen up, people." Probably saying, "Listen up." I don't remember. I don't know if you have it in your notes.
I'm sorry. Yes, it's we have "Listen Up, People" number 3 and "Everything You Got" number 2 coming up here momentarily. So that is so just for the record, that is 3 listen up speeches, 3 listen ups peoples, and 2 "Everything You Gots." to Everything
Okay.
You Got.
Gotcha.
And I feel like this needs to be something that we need to start tracking in all of our movies. It's the Listen Up speech tracker.
We might need to start playing a drinking game with Listen Up.
We could. I mean, if it had been a
But
good
we
enough
might be
whiskey,
dead.
I'd have been plastered. Yeah.
So anyway, he tells people, listen up, it's a national security issue. We are in DEFCON 4, all the things.
All the
And
things.
then-
Pam is bad. Bourne is bad. Everybody in New
Everyone's-
York is bad. Get
That's
every
right.
agent that isn't legally allowed to operate on our soil out there doing what they need to do.
That's
Operating
right.
with firearms.
So meanwhile, Pam slips out and Vosen's man announces it to the room, which is so wild that they are now suddenly Pam is like a person of interest. Like it almost sort of insinuates that at this point.
Absolutely.
And I'm almost surprised he didn't put a hit out on her at that point. I mean, and you get what is nice though, is you get some differing views across the room during this little moment.
Yeah. People are kind of going, are we doing the right thing here?
Yeah, exactly. So they're tracking her on her phone and she's walking along the sidewalk with 8 guys out there following her as she's walking. And then Bourne texts her Tudor City Place and 42nd, which is basically a smokescreen for the CIA that even Cheetah isn't aware of. But of course, Vosen sends everyone to that intersection, including himself, to go catch up with Bourne because they think for sure that's where he's going to be, because Bourne wouldn't be so stupid as to send a text over his cell phone,
No.
Yeah.
He's not a clever fellow. We've established that at this point.
That's right. So they're all driving there. And the guy in the back seat, that's the funny part of this. They're in the car, Vosen and his guys. And somebody in the back seat is like, why would Bourne pick such an exposed place to meet?
Right.
And Vosen doesn't even think twice. He's just like, I don't know, must be a reason for it. We're going there. Doesn't think about any other thing that could be going on there. So they're setting up at Tudor City, waiting for Pam to arrive, to look for Bourne, to show up, and then to find, of course, Bourne. But of course, that's not where Bourne is.
Nope.
Bourne is at the CIA. Now, this is a part of this movie that I cannot get past. How did he get in the building? How does he get in the CIA? I have a hard time believing that the whole of the CIA went to Tudor City, and so one's there. So he just walks in because it's all empty. It's just there's nobody there. So they show him later. They show him later with a badge. So the only thing that I can assume is that he takes somebody out and steals their badge, and that person apparently has access to frickin' everything. I mean,
yeah,
but you don't see any of that.
I feel like maybe that got filmed and then edited for time, because it clearly had to come out. Part of me kind of hopes it was the Vosen's Tanner instead of Pam's Tanner, because
but it's not, because he's the guy that breaks the door later.
Well, but they don't explain that either, because somehow the Situation Room is locked.
Yeah,
and they don't say did Bourne do that?
Yeah, were there 2 other scenes that we didn't even get to see?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, even though it was in another building, the CIA doesn't own the whole building, although I'm sure it's pretty hardwired. But I'm sure he could get into the building, but getting up to the CIA portions of the building seems a little less likely. Maybe he just, stole a badge that he saw somewhere, thought he could upgrade it. There's a lot that they didn't explain there. I almost wish we could have had a little viral video of 10 minutes of Jason Bourne breaks into the CIA kind of thing as
honestly, that would have been so cool if they would have shown at some point in the movie, either Vosen or Pam watching on a screen somewhere his break-in and entry video.
Right.
So that you could get that explanation, so that it doesn't just feel like, oh, he magically got into the CIA's Black Ops office.
Yeah, I kind of feel like at that point in time, they were like, well, we're done with exposition now. Now it's just time for bang, bang, shooty, shooty, drive, drive. And we need to wrap this thing up. Because at this point, I'm even like, is this over yet?
Yeah.
Where does Jason Bourne get to meet Dr. Frankenstein and we can just go moving on?
Right. Let's just get back to it. So we'll just assume that, that's what Bourne did. He took out some security guy who had an all-access pass to the CIA and, Bob's your uncle. So from there, Vosen then gets a phone call while he's sitting in the car, and it's Bourne. And he's like, I was waiting when I was going to get one of these calls. I've been looking forward to it. And what we don't, and this is really some really fast editing too, that I didn't even catch this the first time I watched this. I didn't even catch it until I was like watching it a second time, that he's recording the phone call with Vosen. And because Vosen immediately, when he picks up the phone, he says his full name. So he's got that now recorded. And as Bourne is talking to Vosen, you see him with like one of those little fingerprint lifter sticker thingies, and he's lifting the fingerprint off of his phone. So now he's got the fingerprint and he's got the voice recognition thing, but he's just like saying,
Where are you now?
I'm sitting in my office.
I doubt that.
And why would you doubt that?
If you were in your office right now, we'd be having this conversation face to face.
It was kind of trite because you knew that's where it was going, but
yeah,
it's Vosen's equivalent of, you look tired, Pam.
Exactly.
Right? Where are you at now? I'm in my office. Like, oh, well, that can't be the case because you're in your office. We'd be having this chat now. Whoop! It's the whole, oh, no.
Exactly.
Click.
Yeah, he immediately hangs up the phone. Bourne immediately takes his little fingerprint, puts it on the safe, then hits play on his little recorder, which is hilarious because he needs a recorder, not his phone, to record the conversation.
Yes.
At this point in the technology timeline.
In technology, yep.
So he opens up the safe and grabs the files and packs it up, and then he heads out of there. And then Vosen's like, go, 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 get back to the office. And meanwhile, Pam starts walking somewhere else. But we know that she's got some other thing in mind.
Right.
Bourne then gets out of there. And that's when I see him like use the badge to badge out of there. And I'm just like, where did he get the badge from? But anyway, Vosen calls, the name of Vosen's tanner is Willis. Or Wills.
Of course.
It's Wills. But anyway, so he calls Wills and tells him to check his office, which is, again, magically locked from the inside. So Wills has to shoot and then break down this bulletproof plexiglass door to get in there. And so I know that somewhere in there, like, Wills tells him that he's got everything. So Vosen's freaking out, and then Vosen is, of course, telling everyone to block off everything on the planet. I want all of New York City locked down. I want the building locked down. I want
the United States of America completely locked down. All entrances and exits.
That's right, exactly. So meanwhile, Pam is still walking, and then Cronin, her tanner, intercepts her in his car, and she hops in and he tells her what happened. And then Pam tells him to drive to 415 East 71st Street, which was the birthday that she told Bourne over the phone. So at this point, Bourne is now out on the street and he's quickly spotted because, as we know from the rest of this movie, that CIA agents are everywhere.
Everywhere.
Just everywhere. So he's running, he's jumping, he's climbing trees, he's into this parking lot, and he gets in this car and guys are chasing him. He's driving backwards until he drives off a roof in this car and just holds on to the seat belt as he's careening backwards to the lower level of this parking lot. Now, this is where I learned something about the universe that Bourne lives in.
Okay.
And that is that if you're going to get in a car crash, if you want to survive, and your car is going to flip over in one way or another, whether it's vertical or sideways, all you have to do to survive is hold on real tight, wrap your arm around a seatbelt, and you will survive that crash. And no one else will.
The Central Intelligence Cinema does not recommend using this safety technique in the situations as expressed by Ben Esslinger or in any other situation. Proper use of seatbelts is really the only guarantee that the seatbelts may actually work.
That is correct. Again, this is the Bourne universe. in which this rule exists. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, so after he falls down to the lower level car lot, he just gets out of the car and starts running again. And then he's so he's walking, and the New York City police find him at this point and tell him to so he puts his hands up, but then the CIA arrives and starts shooting because that's what the CIA does, apparently. So, but it gives Bourne a chance to run and steal a cop car. So now he's in a cop car where we get to test out which cop cars are more sturdy. Are Russian cop cars more sturdy than U.S. cop cars? I think the answer is pretty obvious, and we'll find out right now. So, so meanwhile, in the Situation Room, Wills is now running the show. I'm pretty sure he also says, listen up. I'm pretty sure that's our next listen up.
I didn't really rank that one as a listen up, but I guess it
he's really not qualified to say listen up. Like anybody's going to follow.
He's not a listen upper. He's sort of like they're listening by proxy.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So anyway,
they're like, we're not listening to you because you're you. We're listening to you because our boss said we had to listen up, and now you're just aping him.
We're still listening in an upwards direction.
So anyway, we're still listening from when Vosen told us to listen. You're just here now.
Right. So someone brings it to his attention that Bourne's birthday isn't actually 4/15/71. And so they all start brainstorming what that could mean. And there's like, it's a zip code in Kentucky. It's a this, that, and the other. They're like all trying to figure out like what this means. But it's not until Vosen hears it, and then he immediately knows that it's the address for the training facility where Bourne got his start.
Where Bourne was born. Get it?
Oh, is that number 6? Although that doesn't really count because it's not really a play on Bourne. Okay.
Nope.
Disqualified. Nope. So now we get yet another parallel to the previous 2 movies where we get this car chase where Bourne is being pursued by Paz, the other assassin, the one that we saw at the beginning of the movie. He is now in a car chasing Bourne, and we get this somewhat similar chase scene to the Kirill car chase scene in Russia in the previous movie. Except New York cop cars are clearly not as durable as Russian cop cars are.
No.
Not even in the least. But eventually Paz, who's in the big heavy SUV, gets Bourne T-boned and high-centered on this lane separator thing. And he's essentially, to use skateboarding terminology, he's rail sliding this with his car, this separator. And he's getting close to this big pylon thing, and Bourne knows that he's about to hit this thing real hard.
Yeah, he's figured out, I don't think the seatbelt's going to work in this one.
No, but he does. That's exactly what he does. He sees it coming, and he wraps his arm again around the seatbelt. It flips around, and when it's flipping around, it smacks the SUV that Paz is in, and they both go careening all over the place. And naturally, Bourne is fine. And who isn't? Paz is not quite as okay. He's not dead, but he doesn't seem very okay. And once again, Bourne gets out of his car and goes over to the assassin and doesn't kill him, just like in the previous movie.
Yeah, except in the previous movie, he died, though.
This is true. So then we see Vosen call Albert Finney, a.k.a. Dr. Albert Hirsch, telling him to get out of the building because Bourne is headed there. But Dr. Hirsch just wants to wait for him and keep him in play until Vosen arrives. And I kind of feel like Dr. Hirsch wants to meet him, like wants to talk to him or have some sort of tete-a-tete with him or something. I don't know. Maybe he wants to tell Bourne about his past. I don't know.
I feel like he thinks he can win Bourne back.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's trying to like the whole thing about when he does get there and he tells him, well, you signed up for this. You volunteered for all this. Perhaps try and remind him of who he was at that time or something. I don't know. Right.
Well, the scene actually kind of cracks me up because we get English or we get American accent Albert Finney, who's always very, I'll bring Bourne into. He's very much like, with what way do the bars...
Does the authors...
It's very Del Close in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But
Yes.
I'll just wait around to give you some time to get here. And while I was watching it, when I was watching it again last night, I start doing it. And Susan's like, "Oh, it's pretty good." I'm like, "I have an Albert Finney when I need it sometimes." Because I picked up on that shit way back in Aaron Brockovich. It's hilarious to me. So I just need to make the movie longer.
So then we see Bourne, and he arrives at the training facility, but Landy is right there she sort of pops out from behind a column. Hello. And Bourne's like, "They're going to come after you for this. Like, why are you doing this?" And she's like, "This isn't what I signed up for." And so Bourne's like, "Well, let's do something about it." So he gives her all the files. And so puts his trust in her that she's going to do the right thing, which, I mean, if she's sort of outing herself as being against Vosen, then that would make sense.
Yeah.
So Vosen and his crew start to arrive, and Landy goes back in the building because she sees all these cars coming up. They both go into the building. Bourne starts making his way up the stairs. She goes and finds the nearest fax machine, wherever she can find a fax machine. But, apparently they're everywhere in this building.
Yeah, because, it's a secure building, and they certainly want to have digital or electronic transmission devices everywhere.
all over the place. So Bourne gets up the stairs and he's making his way. And at this point, Vosen gets in the building and he finds Landy, but he's too late. Just as he arrives, the last piece of paper has been scanned into the fax machine. Right. And I love the little line from Pam where she's like, so then Bourne's walking down the hallway that you see in all the flashbacks with the Vaseline on the camera.
Right.
So now he's there. He's right there. And he finds Dr. Hirsch, and Bourne asks like why he was picked. And Hirsch reminds him that, well, we didn't pick you. You volunteered. And that's when it sort of clears up everything that while he might have been reticent to do certain things, he did initially volunteer to be in the program.
Yep.
So they have their little like tete-a-tete, and he gets the flashback while he's there of having to kill this guy regardless of what he did. He doesn't know who it is that he's killing, but it's sort of the last step that turns him into Jason Bourne.
Right.
And when he comes out of the flashback, I think he says something to Hirsch about how, well, I'm not that guy. And he's like, well, you're no longer Jason Bourne or whatever. And that's right when Paz comes in and starts shooting, and Bourne flees to the rooftop. And he gets up to the rooftop and he's trying to figure out where to go. And Paz gets out there, and we get yet another sort of retreading of previous movies. This one going back to Bourne Identity, where Bourne says the same thing that the professor said to him, where he says, look at us, look at what they make you give. You probably don't even know why you were sent to kill me. So Paz drops his gun, but then Vosen like bursts through the door. So Bourne makes a run for it and jumps into the East River. But just as he's jumping, you hear a gunshot. And you don't know if Bourne was shot or not. And it's very mysterious what's going to happen. And then finally, we cut to you see like a shot of him enter the water, but you don't know if he made it. He's just sort of like not moving around. He's just sort of floaty.
Yeah, can I also point out there's a lot of other things floating in the water with him, because the East River is disgusting.
So then we cut to Pam Landy, and she's in a Senate hearing talking about the 6 illegal killings. And as she's talking about this, the words sort of blend into a TV report talking about this whole emergency cabinet meeting and talking about the arrest of Dr. Albert Hirsch and CIA Deputy Director Noah Vosen over the government assassination program Blackbriar, which is a little funny to me that they would air the name Blackbriar over. I mean, I know that, like clearly this little operation is blown or whatever, but at the same time for the name of the operation to actually be aired on television, I'm sort of like, wow, they're not even going to keep that classified anymore. So,
well, the real question, of course, is then did CIA spy stuff pick up the fact that the newscast said Blackbriar, and then they immediately dispatched some kill teams to go kill the people that said it on air?
Ah, yes, to kill the entire Channel 4 news team.
Maybe that should have been the end credits scene.
But I digress. So while all of this is sort of going on with the news story, we're intercutting with the slow-mo shots of Bourne still floating in the East River, just floaty with all the other garbage that's in the East River. And then we also see a shot then of Nikki at some restaurant watching the news on TV. And the story continues, and they say that the source of the information behind the program was David Webb, also known as Jason Bourne, who fell from a building into the East River. And the newscast goes on to say that they never found his body. And of course, Nikki smiles because she knows that if they didn't find his body, then Bourne is definitely still alive for another sequel.
That's right. That's right.
and cue Moby, and then suddenly the lifeless body in the water reanimates and begins to swim away. Also, I should make it known that I did write down his actual birthday. He's actually a year older than they thought. It is 9/13/70. So
he's still younger than me.
And that is the end of the Bourne Ultimatum.
Thank God.
Yeah, I don't need to go through the same movie a third time.
No, I think that was good. It was great. I loved it. I kissed it. I'll watch it again in 10 years when I get the bug to watch it again. I'm never reviewing it again. It ruined it for me.
I do think that, the movie holds up less upon repeated viewings and sort of putting two and two together as far as how they assembled it and how it stacks up against the structure of the movie that only came out a couple years before it.
Mm-hmm.
And you suddenly realize that the two movies are nearly identical in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Even though one is, in fact, a sequel to the next one. It's like it follows the exact same blueprint, almost to a T.
Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Just like Evil Dead 2 being the better movie, so is The Bourne Ultimatum. So much so,
precisely,
in my opinion. Just because I do think that this one feels smarter than The Bourne Supremacy was, if only for like some of those evading scenes, like the scene at the train station and the scene where Pam outsmarts the rest of the guys in the Situation Room. There's just some smarter movie moments, I feel like, in this one. But nonetheless, I understand now why there was such a gap after this movie came out, because what else is there really to tell at this point, you know?
Nothing.
Especially given that they kind of told the same thing twice.
Can't really do that a third time, guys. We're going to have to come up with something original or not make any more. All right, well, we'll give it 10 years. Okay, great.
Yeah. But hey, tens of listeners, we're always looking for listener interaction. So you should tell us what you thought of the Bourne Ultimatum and how it stacks up. Maybe your ranking of the Bourne movies. You don't even have to include the fourth and fifth one. You just tell us the first three.
Yep, and if you do send us some interaction, there's a very good chance that whatever you send us might get read here on this podcast, which would make you kind of the star of the podcast, which means that if we read it, a star would be Bourne.
Oh my goodness. That's quite the play there, my friend. That is quite the play.
Thank you very much. I'll be here all week.
I did not see that one coming. But yes, please get in touch with us over email at cicdeaddrop@gmail.com, on Instagram at Central Intelligence Cinema, separated by underscores. And on Twitter, it's at CIC SpyPod. There's a whole slew of other places that you can get in touch with us, and you can find the links to all of them at the bottom of the show description of this episode and all of our episodes for that matter. So please get in touch and let us know what you thought. But Jason, should we get out of here?
Yes.
Perhaps on a small scooter, on a Vespa, with no bombs on it, though. I promise.
No bombs, and we got to try and jump a really impossible jump on said scooter and see if we can make it.
All right, sounds good. Well, with that, I'm Ben.
And I'm Jason.
And the CIC will return with more missions, more martinis,
And more mayhem.